So too often in democratic process, the experts who may be academics, they may be stakeholders, uh, they may be uh, all sorts of people who are not we the people kind of, who are heavily involved in the issue in one way or another, or in the larger knowledge systems, systemic knowledge or humanitarian knowledge or whatever is appropriate for that particular issue, that they often intentionally or not, sometimes they're just given the deciding power, the decision power anyway, or they just advise the powers that be, elected representatives or the administrators or whatever, and what they say goes. Or they are present in a deliberation that includes citizens, but the citizens defer to them, or the social dynamics, the group dynamics, the assumptions about experts knowing more causes the citizens to sort of sit back and act like they don't know anything and defer to the powerful experts, or expert knowledge. It's not experts being present, but they're what is written up, like the briefings that are given to deliberators, tends to skew their thinking. It's very powerful. Whatever information you give the deliberators can help frame what's going on, for better or worse. And if it frames in ways that invalidates or constrains their ability to really tap into what's going on and what they really want to go on, that's not good. So those are examples of experts being on top, kind of. So having experts on tap means that the knowledge that they have can be really useful. It's like, if we do X or Y or Z approaches to this problem, what's going to happen? We may not be able to see the picture that somebody who has been studying this for a while or been immersed in the issue for a while sees, and they can give us, the ordinary citizens, information about how this might play out, that can then help us go, oh, well, if that's going to happen, I mean, I first thought that was a good idea, but now that I see the other stuff that might come into play, it's actually not such a good idea. As we're doing this discussion of the patterns, we have the Brexit, the British exit from the European Union, which a lot of the British people who voted to leave the European Union going, oh my God, maybe that wasn't such a good idea now that we really look at what might happen. So having experts on tap, not on top, in a deliberative context can help people go, oh, well, I had the impulse to feel that was a good idea, but now that I really realize what might go on, maybe that's not such a good idea and we should look for something else. So having experts help us understand what's the dynamics of what's going on, what's the dynamics of what might happen, can help us make wiser decisions. On the other hand, there's a sense that the citizens have more expertise about what their values are, what the values of their community are. Research on cognitive science has shown that you can't, in fact, make a decision with reason. You can analyze all the ins and outs and what would happen ifs and what the dynamics are at play. But in order to make a decision, there has to be something that you want. And that wanting is not a rational thing. That wanting is a very basic, emotional, kind of thing, a values-laden thing, a preference. So all the informational and understanding dimensions can inform the application of our preferences, so that we go, okay, this is what I want, now how do I get it? And experts can help that. But what do we want in a democratic society, though? What do we want should be the collective values, determined by the collective values of the community. What does the community want? And that gives direction to the decision-making process. Also, the everyday experience, the elites, often experts are part of people who are called experts, are part of elite classes that are not necessarily wrestling with the kinds of issues and dynamics that ordinary people are wrestling with in their own lives. So since the decisions are going to impact the everyday lives of ordinary people, and since democracy is about helping the people who are impacted participate effectively in the decisions that are affecting their lives, there's a level of expertise there too. It may not be the same kind of expertise as the academic or the technocrat has expertise, but it's definitely expertise. We know what it's like when this kind of thing happens. We feel it. We like it or we don't like it. We can bring that level of expertise of our everyday experience to the decision-making process. So it's like a division of roles here. The experts have a certain kind of, the regular acknowledged experts and expertise have a certain proper role in making, having the decision come about, and ordinary citizens have another kind of role. And similarly, stakeholders, we've talked in other patterns about the role of stakeholders versus citizens. There's another kind of role that stakeholders have. They're embedded in the conflictual nature of the problem, and they have expertise in what it's like to be in that corner of this battle, and they can bring that to the discussion. So there's a funny way in which all the different kinds of expertise from different kinds of perspectives, different ways of thinking about or experiencing the problem and its solutions can come together, and all of them are on tap for the larger collective realization about what makes sense. And the wisdom that comes out of that ideally would affect both people's personal decisions, the decisions they make in their lives, and the collective decisions that govern, policies and programs and allocations of resources. So we want to acknowledge the power of expertise and not have the acknowledged experts control the discussion or make the decision. And I think citizen deliberative councils are an excellent example of that, because they have people who are testifying to the citizen deliberative council. Citizen deliberative council isn't citizen juries, consensus conferences, citizen assemblies, whatever. There are people who bring their expertise to the randomly selected citizens to inform them of what's going on, and then the randomly selected citizens bring their understandings of what the citizenry would want to that. National Issues Forums has a way of framing issues for deliberation where they say, here is one approach to solving this problem, and here's the argumentation for it. Here's the evidence for that particular approach. Here's another one. And they'll go through 3 to 5 of those as a way of briefing the deliberators in the National Issues Forum deliberations, citizen deliberations. So that's another interesting approach to that. And deliberative polling, again, has a bunch of randomly selected people who are listening to and questioning experts. But deliberative polling doesn't actually make a final decision, but the experts are on tap for the information of these individual citizens whose perspectives may be shifting during their education in the deliberative poll, or their talking with each other. There are lots more that could be put in there, but those 3 do a good representation.